Hey again, it's Brian. Just real quick, wanted to mention that if you visit voidsignal.net or patreon.com/voidsignal, you can sign up for the Void Signal Patreon and help support the creation of more ad-free Void Signal. All tiers are the same, and for as little as $2 per month, you can help support making more of this stuff, helping me do this thing that I do. Thanks for your consideration. I hope you're well. Take care. Let's talk again soon. Bye-bye. Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Void Signal. I am Sam, your host today. I will be interviewing the one and only Brian.
Okay.
Brian, hello.
Hello. How are you? How's it going?
I'm great. Don't what? What did you want to say?
I just want to interject really quick. I will end up cutting out my last name. I just don't.
Certainly.
Okay, great. Go on.
Yes, the flow of the show has been tarnished, and we're live now. So, I wanted to start off by asking the question that's on everyone's mind when they tune into Void Signal and hear your lovely voice. Why did you do this?
Why have you done this thing?
Why have you done this? That is how I wrote the question, and that is how you will answer it.
Okay, I will do my best. Why did I do this? I don't know. I wanted to make. I used to watch like Night Flight, which was like a weird variety show that would come on like late night television. It was like syndicated, and it would be like weird short films and interviews and music videos and just weird shit. And I was like, I just wanted to make like a weird thing, like a radio show that was like, oh, it's Void Signal, and we're talking to a musician or an artist or an interesting person who's going to say these things. And I don't know, just like an obscure little kind of alternative show kind of a thing. Yeah, I guess. And because I've been complimenting on my voice a lot throughout my life. So it was like, well, let me try and use this thing. Because before this, I was just writing, doing like text interviews, and like that shit sucks.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was like, my voice is good. I'll go use it. So that's how I started. And here we are.
Yeah, I agree with you about your voice. And as one of our mutual friends said one time, you're just you come across as just a very honest, genuine, and confident person, but not in the like cocky confident way, but just like confident in how you feel. And I think it comes through in the interviews that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, that's very cool. So that kind of leads me to my next question. Actually, wasn't my next question, but another question was, what do you kind of hope from Void Signal? And do you have like other plans and things you'd like to do with Void Signal? Maybe turning it into a video thing? Anything like that?
I've been encouraged to do that before, and I've debated it. But when you spend so much of your life being like not stoked about your face, do I want to do video stuff? No, I fucking don't. Because as it is, like, starting to do Void Signal as it was as audio was like, well, I have to listen to my voice now, and I have to, a lot of people don't like the sound of their own voice, myself included when I started doing this. But it's a thing and I'm sure that was true for you, like doing music. I'm sure you weren't like instantly in love with your voice or the way you sang things.
Oh no, I'm a terrible narcissist. I love everything I do.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, just kidding. No, I still to this day, I like hear stuff I do and I'm just like, stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, same. I don't want to revisit old Void Signal episodes because I just like, I was a baby then, and I've gotten much better now, but, yeah, thank you. I have thought about doing video stuff, but I don't want to. And then like any guest I get, like it's one thing to be like, let's do an audio call. That's easy. But like, hey, also you're going to be on camera, or you need to set up a webcam or whatever. Like that feels like a bigger ask than just, plus I also sort of feel like the vibe is a little bit like a phone call. It's supposed to be like a phone call in the middle of the night of like, we don't really know each other, but like, we're going to talk. And like video is cool sometimes, but like, I I don't know, like I don't know.
No,
I'm
that makes
gonna keep it
perfect
audio
sense.
only. I think, yeah.
I guess what I was sort of thinking is when you mentioned
Mhm.
that Night Flight TV show was that
Yeah,
just like I'm thinking of like, would you want to broaden Void Signal to like other random, weird, nonsensical things that are almost like a great, like almost like a departure from
hmm
what it is now?
I
Just like, yeah.
absolutely, and I would love to, but I don't think I have the technical ability to do it.
Hmm.
Nor do I see myself making the time to develop that ability as of yet. I mean, that could change, right? I could be
No,
like,
that makes
hey,
perfect
actually, I want
sense.
to, do this passion project.
Everything takes time.
Yeah, and plus, like
We only have so much.
any time spent developing that aspect of it is taking away time from like, well, I need to like, but sort of to go back and answer your other question of what do I want to hopefully, have come of it is I'd like to branch out from just doing music. I'd like it to be like a thing that people listen to regardless of kind of whatever music they may be into. Like they're just listening to it because it's me, because it's Void Signal, and have it kind of grow into its own sort of thing that, I don't know, pays a couple bills every month. Like that's all I can really hope for it. I mean, having it become a living is great, would be great. A lot of people
Yeah.
dream of that, sure, but the reality is much closer to like, oh, you know, every couple months it pays for this thing for me. Great, cool.
Yeah. No,
So,
that's really great. I mean, even when you start to earn even just a little bit, you're like, wow, it
mhm.
feels real.
Yeah,
It
exactly. I
feels like
mean,
what I'm doing has merit.
yeah, exactly. Like those payouts and those cash outs from like Patreon and stuff, like they're not huge dollar amounts, but they are amounts that people chose to give me,
Hmm.
because they saw the value in what I was making or doing or whatever.
How do you choose your guests?
Um, a few of them have been kind of a few guests. There's been a handful of guests that I've just been like, I should have this person on. So
Hmm. Because
uh,
they're in like the alternative slash industrial
or
scene.
yeah, or like maybe they're famous, or I feel like I should, or I feel like I owe them, or whatever. But most of the time, I'm choosing guests based on just sort of I follow my own sort of prerogative of just like I don't know. I hear something and I'm like this one, and I don't know. I just
Hmm.
sort of like Public Memory, like was one that I was really excited about, and like a lot of people in the scene that I know, but I was like, oh, I'm excited to have Public Memory on, and not a lot of people knew who it was, but it was like, well, I'm excited for it, and that's kind of what matters. So that's how I feel about most of my
Yeah.
guests is that like I'm fucking excited about this person, and hopefully after you hear me talk to them, you will be as well. But it's kind of just a like. I don't know. It's like a vibe radar. I'm just like that one. I don't know.
That seems like a really good way to go about it. Have you ever had on a guest who like immediately were like, fuck, wish I had this person on and I can't wait for it to end. Please shut up or talk more interestingly.
I'm trying to think. I don't know that I actually have had. I feel like I've had maybe at least one, but I was like, I couldn't tell you who it was. I don't remember. Like, not because I'm trying
No,
to
and I
protect
wouldn't.
anybody, but
No, of
like,
course, but also at the same time, I don't think you'd want to do that. It's
no,
just
I,
kind of
I
being a
wouldn't.
dick.
Yeah, that would be shitty.
Like, yeah, this one guy, Sam, he
I, I mean, like when
stopped
I,
talking.
yeah, Sam just won't shut the fuck up. I mean, when I think about ones that like go poorly, like I also have, or that I feel bad about when they're over, of like, that could have been better or whatever. A lot of those are usually tied to sort of language and or cultural kind of barriers of like,
Hmm.
a lot of Swedes. I have a pretty good size following in Sweden. A lot of Swede artists and stuff like this is an interview. They are answering questions, so they are just
Hmm.
giving very short, direct answers. And plus, language and like people don't want to talk too much about their personal lives and stuff, and that's fine. But like,
Yeah,
it can get a little. Sometimes it does feel like
there's
an
even just like a cadence
interrogation.
difference.
Yes, that too.
Because like when I've spoken with our mutual friend Johan before
Hmm.
through like video chat when we were like, oh, let's have a little meeting, we'll like talk, and I'm like,
Hmm.
it's nice talking to him, but like at the same time, I'm like, I feel like we're from a different world.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I feel that way when I talk to him too, is that it's like, I, you know, and this isn't like he's a very smart man. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
like
no doubt.
you know, language and culture and like sort of you know, all these kinds of barriers to communication. Like, yeah, it's interesting. It can be challenging, but I've not really had anybody that I'm like, oh, I can't wait for this to be over. That's not true. I have one. I just remembered it. I was
Yes.
like, because I ended up cutting like 40 minutes out of the interview.
Oh my God.
Because, and it was still over an hour. It was super long because there was this huge sidebar where I was arguing with this guest about
What?
like, yeah, they were like, I'll just say anybody who's listened to all my episodes will know who this is. But anyway, he was talking about how like, the A&R guys from record labels and they were so good for the industry, and they would go out, and I'm like, no, they were fucking bad for the industry because they were all white men that just brought us back whatever, you know, like, and like we argued for like, and then there was like a whole sidebar about
I honestly
like,
don't know anything
people
about
should
that."
listen to Bob Dylan, and I'm like, nobody needs to fucking listen to Bob Dylan. Like this is, and just
Why are the A&R guys bad? I honestly don't know.
So, I mean, like basically the record industry and the music industry has always been just, you know, these white guys see your talent and they want to make money off you, right? So that's how it works. Like that's what these A&R guys did. They would travel around the country. Oh, here's a small local musician. Oh, this is a person of color. Nope, not them. We're going to take this white guy instead, or this white woman because she's hot, and what, you know what I mean? Either way, you're getting these sort of skewed results. So I mean, we don't know what we had to miss out on, right? Because somebody was not the right color or not the right gender or not the right whatever, right? So I just feel like having all of the music available to us filtered through white men is probably not a good filter, right? Like, and there are exceptions, right? Like we ended up with like all kinds of great black musicians and female musicians and musicians.
Yeah, I
of
was going to
color,
push back
but-
on that because of that. I was like, well,
Yeah.
you know, there's Jimi Hendrix. He's
No,
one.
absolutely. But I mean, like, I also
There's one.
No, absolutely. But I mean, still, I still think barriers like that are maybe not good.
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah, that makes sounds. I really need to go listen to that because that sounds like a fun thing to hear.
I mean, I cut it out. So, yeah,
God damn it! Why would you?
Because
do
it
that?
went on way too long. Because he wanted to argue, and I was like, it got heated for a second, and then I was like,
awesome.
okay, I got to cut this because I can't. I
That
don't wanna
sounds like
argue
you really
this.
should have kept it.
But then I met him in person.
are you real?
And he was nice. Last I checked, yes.
Okay, just wanted to real quick.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was kind of that was is that so is that oh no, I guess that I was gonna say was that the worst guest you ever had, but like
And I wouldn't
No.
even call it the worst. Like I had to cut all this stuff and we argued and stuff, but like then I saw him in person and was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" Like and I like him as a person. We're friends on
Yeah.
Facebook still. So it's like, but it was the first time in an interview where I was like heated, like hot in the face, like like arguing like, "No, this is like I don't usually get that way. I'm usually pretty like, "Oh, well, they'll say whatever they say." But yeah.
the urge to troll you is very strong right now. What's your educational background?
Okay. Let me.
You've read books, right?
I have read books. I went to University of Nevada, Reno for the creative writing program for a while. And yeah, I did really well. And then I did really well in academia, actually. But did a lot of took a lot of cultural studies, was on the dean's list and stuff. And, you know, yeah, that was it. And then I tutored. This kind of counts, I think.
So you're a nerd.
Yeah, kind of. And I think this counts, but like I also tutored at the University Writing Center and did like a lot of wrote articles and did research stuff. And, you know, it was.
Cool.
I was like a little academic man.
What kind of articles and research did you do?
So I actually ended up, I was the only undergraduate to present at a writing conference for, my paper was gender representation in video games, women as non-default, and sort of examining the evolution of female representation in video games and things like that. I wrote about lenses, critical lenses, A lot of like different theories looking at text through different lenses of like maybe leftist socialist or Marxist feminist or new historicism or whatever. Nerd shit, like lit theory bullshit.
Yeah. Have you found that helps you with the show at all? Like just or like
I think it does, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Just because talking to artists is like kind of is in a sense talking to fellow writers and stuff, right? Because I mean, it's a different medium, but we are still tapping into a creative well to try and make something that doesn't exist until we make it. So I think and plus like, after working at the writing center and everything, just like being able to talk with people about art or subjects that I may not be familiar with. Because, as a tutor, it was like the student that comes in might be an English 101 student. And we're talking about like, here's your thesis statement and here's how you argue it, which I loved those. Because you're teaching people how to critically think and examine things. Right. And I think that's cool. But, it might be a master's student who's working on their art thesis or their, here's my thesis for gene manipulation or whatever. So, I mean, trying to engage with people about whatever topic they're interested in or whatever they're passionate about was a component of that. So I do think that it helps me at least be able to like talk with and engage people, not only about like art and creation, but like whatever they may be engaged with. I try to anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I've noticed you, I mean, also just like very like personable. I feel like, like when I've come on the show, it was just kind of like, oh shit, I'm nervous. And then it's just like, oh, we're just chatting. We're just hanging out. And
yeah.
I was like, oh, is he like some sort of psychology? Does he know how to make people feel comfortable? Is he a comforter?
No, that's just who I am. I just make people comfortable. Yeah.
Good. Cool.
Yeah, thanks.
What's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you?
What do you mean craziest?
I don't fucking know.
Okay.
What's God damn it.
There's no wrong question, Sam. You're doing great.
No, that's the question. I have it written down. I was just like, I don't know what that fucking means.
Craziest thing. Okay, I'll give an answer at least.
First thing that comes to mind.
First thing comes to mind is last year. I got COVID. And then that COVID caused me to have a blood clot that almost killed me. And then,
oh my God, yeah.
Like a month after being on blood thinners and being like, oh, that sure was a close brush with mortality. Not like about a month and a half after that, I started falling over and I couldn't walk because my spine, my discs were pinching my nerves and I could not walk. So like to be almost robbed of my life and to be robbed of sort of my independence, an important component of the quality of my life of like, now I can't walk anywhere without the risk of falling over or, and not to mention like tingling and agony and all these kinds of things. So yeah, that last year was like a crazy fucking year of like those two things happening in very close proximity of like, now you need spine surgery so you can hopefully walk fucking normal again.
Yeah. I remember there was a weird period there where we were like, is Brian going to make it?
Yeah, it was pretty scary. And I did almost die twice last year. So, a couple
from that same thing.
So once was the blood clot, and then the second time was post-op from my spine surgery. I was on Percocet for pain, and I took too many pain thingies one night and bottomed out my blood pressure and had to go to the hospital. It was close. That was
now I've heard a lot of
August or September, I think.
I've heard a lot of people actually enjoy Percocet. Isn't that true?
That is true. Some people maybe too much, but in my case,
I believe I've heard a song. It goes Percocet, Percocet.
I've heard that song as well. I believe it does say that, and when it says that, I am convinced. So
I am also convinced they must enjoy the drug.
Yeah, they must.
Very well.
Yeah, but that's probably the craziest thing that ever happened to me is that I almost fucking died and then lost a bunch of weight and started taking my life more seriously.
What's the least crazy thing that's ever happened to you? Okay, cool. What's the craziest fucking dream you've ever had?
Um, hmm.
Ooh, that is
Okay,
getting
I actually have an answer for this because I ended up writing it into a short story.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to mushrooms. So I had a nightmare that these tiny mushroom people kidnapped me and were holding me down, and they were trying to get their fingers in my mouth so that I would have an allergic reaction and die.
Holy shit.
So, and like it was horror. I woke up sweating. I would like this was like I could like their little gross styrofoamy fingers had like little fingernails on it, and I could like feel them on my teeth. Oh fuck me, it was awful. Yeah,
That sounds pretty awesome.
yeah, of like something trying to get your fucking mouth open, and like. So I wrote a short story about it called The Horror in the Undergrowth. And it was about there's like a little leader one, and she's like open, and she like,
Open.
yeah, she has like a little voice and says open. I sent it to some friends of mine, and they really liked it and said that like for the past like 5 years or so, like anytime they have mushrooms in their house, they're like open, like, so yeah, that was probably
Witness?
witness. It was the craziest fucking nightmare I've ever had in my life. It was awful.
That's fucking great.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's one that always comes to mind.
Yeah.
It's like I had this weird dream that like there was like, do you ever have those dreams? I mean, of course you do, where like one thing happens, but then it just like snowballs and it's still tied to it, but like it's so fucking far from like where it started, and it's just like you found a crayon, but now you're using that crayon to ride into battle in medieval Egypt.
See, yeah.
Yeah.
Mine don't usually quite get that unhinged until the mushroom dream. Usually, like my dreams are usually weird, like liminal space kind of dreams of like, I'm in this place I kind of recognize, but it's like an escalator in the middle of an outdoor strip mall and there's nobody around, and it leads up to a second floor, but all the shops are closed, and like just weird places where like, this is where society used to be. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Sounds very fitting for Void Signal. I was, but the fucking weirdest one I had was, I think, I found this like little 1-foot goblin outside of my house. And I think I was like kicking it. And then I was like, oh shit, it's actually alive. And then I was like, I gotta take you inside and take care of you, man. And I took it inside and I was like taking care of it. And I woke up the next day and it was like a full-grown like kid, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I guess I should feed you, and I gave the kid some food. And then I don't know, I like took a nap, and then I woke up and it was like an adult, but like they were bald and had like they were completely hairless, and they were like very much so like alien-like but human. Okay. And then I was in like a medieval fucking fantasy land, and like 2 more of their siblings showed up, and like the people of the town were like, oh, these are very definitely a sign from the gods that things are going well in our town. It kept going, and it kept getting more and more convoluted and nonsensical, but it still revolved around that little fucking goblin I found.
Wow. What a emotional roller coaster you went on.
It ended with the Britons invaded, and it was medieval times, and they stole my little goblin person.
Wow.
And then a Brit walked up to me and he's like, oh, you there? And I like immediately like put on a British accent. I was like, what's up, bro? I don't fucking remember. And they're like, oh, you must be one of us. And then I was like, great, I'm going to infiltrate them and steal back my goblin person. And that's when I woke up.
Wow. I'm glad that you I'm glad that you at least resolved yourself to go try and save your adopted goblin son. I'm glad it has a happy ending at least.
Yes. All right. Well, I have other questions to ask you, Brian.
Okay. I'm ready for them.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
I kind of
felt the presence of a ghost.
I kind of feel like I saw one, maybe. We were moving to Missouri, and I was I was driving in the front car, and my partner was driving our the U-Haul, right? Like, so it was we were going through Missouri. It was late one night, and like just on the other side of Mark Twain National Forest, I'm in the front car with the two dogs, and like we pass by. It's the middle of nowhere, man. Like just on the like there's fucking nobody out here. It's like fucking rurals and shit. So we pass by the fucking there was a woman on the side of the road, like in like a white dress, like, and I was like there was nothing around. Like there's no fucking houses around. There's no fucking anything.
Shit,
but she
dude.
was there, and I was like, that's weird. And then so I wait like a couple of minutes because the U-Haul is slow and is like, a few miles behind me. And then I call and I'm like, hey, did you see the woman by the side of the road? No, I didn't fucking see anything. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to hang up now and maybe scream. Like, I just was like, it was so like unnerving because there was like literally nothing around. And like,
Maybe she was part of a hippie commune.
That, I mean, I guess. I mean, like
And
my
she escaped to go see some lights.
I'm a skeptic, so my first first thought is like, what's the rational explanation for this? But there wasn't one, and so I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, it weirded me out like enough to be like, okay, well, that was scary. But
Yeah, it's weird shit.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
No, not really.
Okay.
It doesn't count because I was drunk and it was a dream, essentially.
Oh, yeah. All right.
But it felt like I was awake. It was a fucking sleep paralysis dream.
Oh, okay.
I basically like woke up and was like fucking convulsing, and there was like a ghost floating in the room, and she just like hovered over my face and started screaming in my face.
Wow.
It was absolutely mortifying.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
That happened actually 2 nights in a row. It was because I talked shit to and she called herself a gypsy. So
Okay. And so
and I was
you think
I was like,
maybe
you're not a magical person, and then I was like, yeah, they fucked with me.
Okay. You think she like astral projected herself to you?
That's what I felt like, and at that time in my life, I was very much so like kind of loosely believing in that kind of stuff, and also was very heavily drinking. So I think it just those things all played a factor in my brain being like, let's fuck with this guy.
Yeah. What if we did this to him? Yeah, I understand that.
But yeah, as much of as a skeptic as I am, I still hold like a little bit of like, I don't know, maybe there's some magic shit out there.
I mean, yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, as much as of a skeptic as I am myself, I mean, it's like, I don't know what I saw. I don't know what I experienced. And like, when it comes to what other people experience and shit, like, I didn't fucking live it or see it or experience it, so I don't know.
Yeah, all you can really do is like sort of be like, well, what if it was this? And then they're like, no, I don't think so. And you're like,
okay, well, I'll shut my stupid fucking mouth then. Yeah.
That's kind of the problem I usually tend to have with people that are like super set on ghosts. I'm like, all right, well, tell me a thing. And they like tell me a thing, and I'm like, well, couldn't it be this? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, that kind of that's kind of a problem if you don't even think it's possible, because it's like, you at least gotta like, you don't know, like, how you can't just know.
Right. And that is the thing that like, I people don't like it when you ask in interrogative questions like that, really. Like, I had this whole speech that I gave at, I took a storytelling class and, I fucking killed it, as you might guess. And,
of course.
I told the story about like, like all this supernatural stories I'd been told growing up from like my family members of like, oh, I saw a ghost, or, my grandfather would be like, oh, I blah, 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 ghost, or
I am a ghost.
Yeah, I am a ghost. But like my brother was like, oh, my, after my dad died, he's like, oh, he's talking to me at night and he says that things are going to be okay and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I mean, but he's telling you what you want to hear, when you need to hear it. And that's good. Yeah. But also, like, you got to recognize, like, okay, so you have an opportunity, your deceased loved one has a chance to speak to you from the afterlife, and they tell you what you need to hear when you need to hear it, not anything else. Not, hey, there's an afterlife.
This is the lottery number.
Yeah. Hey, here's, there.
Definitely pray to Jesus, because you will end up here, and it's fucking boring.
Yeah. Hey, P.S. Hell sucks. Like, none of that. Instead,
That's a really good point.
Instead, it strikes me as convenient. So
It's the same thing with like ghosts about how there's like where the fuck are all the cavemen ghosts? And
yeah,
people are like, well, there was a reset on the spirit realm in the 1800s, and you're like, oh, fucking, that's convenient. Like, fuck you.
yeah, ghosts don't exist until they have culture and writing.
And
So
that's when I encourage people to do large quantities of DMT to actually see ghosts, and they're not just from the 1800s. And you'll be like, what?
yeah, wow, amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Next question. If you were king of the world and you could fix one thing or change one law, implement one thing, doesn't have to be realistic. No, it does have to be realistic. It has to be implementable. It can't just be like, no murder.
I
Well,
would I would institute a law of intolerance, against intolerance against tolerance, if that makes sense. Of like, in order, there's a philosopher who argued this point. I forget the name, but it was, that in order to defeat intolerance, i.e., fascism, you have to be intolerant of it. Excuse me. So while free speech is a good thing, within reason, like you can't give a free speech platform to people who are opponents of free speech or opponents of humanity, portions of humanity, right? Like
yeah.
you can't. You have to be
He's
intolerant.
just asking questions about what yeah.
Yeah,
I fucking hate that kind of
exactly.
shit. It's like,
So
yeah, but it's all about like how Jewish people are bad. Could we maybe not do that?
yeah. Exactly. So I guess that's what I would institute, is just sort of a like this is the rule. This is the rule that we're going to follow to try and quench the fires of fascism forever. Because I
Interesting. I would ban rape. I guess I'm a better person than you.
Oh,
Just
okay.
kidding.
I mean,
Even though I started this with it has to be implementable.
yeah,
Look at me.
yeah. Wow, you're so much better than me. Isn't it? Isn't it technically banned already? But that doesn't really stop anything from.
Well, in my king world,
In
it
my
would
king world,
be
it fucking would be
it
the
would
law,
work.
you stupid bitch.
you stupid bitch.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good enough answer or not. But
No, yeah, that's a great answer. Trying to think of what the fuck I would do. I would make it so no country can be a country. No more borders.
I like that.
That's just the first thing that comes to mind because it's just like I'm so fucking annoyed with the idea of like you can't just like drive up to Canada.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, I like this house in this other country. I'd like to just move here, please. And they're like,
Yeah.
where's your forums? You're like, fuck you. I have money. Fucking take it. Like,
Yeah.
I want to live here.
Plus I agree, and I think it's like it doesn't matter. Like this is the planet we're all on. Like so. Fucking,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, agreed.
And one of my favorite YouTubers, he's like, we got one life. Like, I want to be able to like explore it freely without like the bounds of like, yeah.
And plus, like they've been used for since the moment they were made is as an excuse to go kill somebody else who's not from where you are or who is not like you. That's all it's ever been used for. So we don't really need it anymore. Like with the rise of global communication, like I would hope. I am probably wrong because I'm a pessimist maybe about this, but I would hope that more people are starting to look at themselves as human beings that are, not so unlike the people on the other side of the world facing the same struggles of like, man, my government sure doesn't represent me or sure doesn't look out for my best interests or, whatever. I would like to believe that sooner or later we'll do away with countries and borders and nations and governments and figure out something that works for the people.
Yeah, that would be nice to live in Star Trek world, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
What's we're gonna maybe close out on that note a little bit because that feels like a good thing. But
right.
before we go, I'd like to ask two questions.
Okay.
What are some of your favorite artists at the moment? Present company excluded.
Oh, excluded. Oh, okay. Okay. I was gonna be like, well, Samtar is pretty. It's pretty okay.
We all know he's great.
Let's see. I was listening to Stoneburner recently. My interview with Steven was really good, and I like his music. It scratches that itch in me for like
Stoneburner.
Stoneburner.
Oh,
It's
Burner.
yeah, it scratches
I
that.
swear to God, I heard Burner or Bruner. I was like, what
Oh,
the fuck is this about
oh yeah, no,
Bruner?
it's like a Dune reference. He's like way into Dune. But yeah, I don't know. It scratches the itch for like old school industrial stuff that's like political and snappy and clangy and bangy and experimental. I was kind of listening to you actually before we went on because I was
Oh,
listening to like Health, and then Modesty Beast came on, and Zafu. I had him on recently, and his music is fucking amazing. It's
oh
like
yeah, you were talking about him. Is that That's not the French guy, is it?
no,
No.
no, he's from New York, Brooklyn, I think, and relocated to
Close
Chicago.
enough.
But good, yeah, really close to French people. Brooklyn, very. But yeah, that's about it. Zafu, Modesty Beast.
And yeah, what else have you been enjoying lately? Because I want to close this out Void Signal style.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Wow, fuck. What have I been enjoying recently? Feeling good about myself. Feeling
Yeah.
like confident and like handsome and like maybe kind of sexy for the first time in my fucking life, of like, hey, I'm not just a Quasimodo of a person that's that's charming and lovable and people like. It's like, hey, maybe I'm not that. Maybe I
Maybe
am
I'm desirable.
maybe there are some people with bad eyesight who
It's really cool how much our perception can change from just little experiences.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I know that validation and self-worth and, self-appreciation and all that needs to come from within, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But also,
Well, we don't have we don't have anything without an outside world.
right. Yeah, exactly. So
We don't have any frame of reference, and we don't.
yeah. So it is nice to
anything.
get validation from outside
Yeah.
sources and to be like, okay, when I felt this way, when I felt like I looked good, I must have, because this thing happened or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, feeling good about myself is like a nice change. I'm not used to it. I'm not trying to like be, I'm self-deprecating or anything, but it's just like it is new to me, and it's been wonderful. So yeah, there's my answer. What about you? What have you been enjoying? You got anything special in
Singing.
your life going on? Anything new and exciting in your life?
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff and things.
There's stuff.
Fuck me, goddamn it, put me on the spot here. I don't know. I've been talking to a person who's really fucking cool. She'll go unnamed. But she knows who she is. Besides that part of my life, honestly, kind of similar. Because like I've been working out super hard this year. Like I've worked
Yeah,
out
you
for
have.
years, but like this year I've been like really like dedicated to like keeping track of everything I'm doing and like increasing how much I'm like lifting and stuff, and
Yeah.
looking in the mirror going like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm so good. Yeah.
So like I've been really enjoying that. So actually like kind of similar similar feelings.
Yeah, you have been I've known you like close to 2 years now, I think. And in that time you've you've gotten super fucking jacked and pretty pretty handsome and stuff. So yeah, good for you.
Shit, thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just so interesting to me how much like perception can change. Because if you have this
Yeah.
like weird self image of yourself, like that's what you see in the mirror, and that's kind of like what you put off.
Yes.
And so I just think other people just see that, and like now that I have this like feeling different like about myself, I feel like when I walk around, I think other people pick up on it, and it's really fucking cool.
yeah. And
Because they're like, witness, and I'm like, yeah.
witness indeed. Yeah. I agree with you, but I just want to interject too, is that like the other thing too is that, if you're caught up thinking about a thing about yourself, like it's going to show like, and because you're going to be obsessing about it or thinking about it the whole time, when you should try and just like let it go and like let it be.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point.
The hard and fast reality is that like nobody gives a fuck about you. Nobody's looking at you. Nobody's fucking, you know what I mean? Like nobody gives a shit. So like you are the person who is
That's
giving
not
the
true.
most shit.
Because you look at people and go, I want to know more. I want to
Sure.
I want to look at them longer than I just got a chance.
Sure, but a lot of the things that people are going to be hung up on, as far as like, oh, I'm worried about this thing about myself. Like, just let it go. Yeah. Just fucking go do whatever. Like, it's going to be what it's going to be. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, great.
On that note, we close tonight's interview with Brian, a very special guest. Also, he is the real host of Void Signal. Dun, 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 dun. No one knew that but me all along. Thank you for joining me. I am your host, Sam, and I bid you goodbye.
Void Signal intro and outro music courtesy of Processor. Visit processor2.bandcamp.com for more Processor, and visit voidsignal.net to help support the creation of more Void Signal. Thank you.